still doing more research on him, but that's what we have to this day. And there are so many different people who they just loved him. And the crew that he had went everywhere with him because everyone just trusted him. So, moving on. Let's move on to the postcards of Signal Hill. So, when I decided for my master's, I wanted to do stuff on I saw a whole bunch of postcards from Signal Hill. And when you think of postcards, most times people think of palm trees, the ocean, everything was all sunny and beautiful. But that wasn't the case for Signal Hill. So I just dug deeper, and that's how I got into more information about the drilling and all that stuff. So the postcards are so when people go on vacation, they think, oh, let me get my cell phone out, let me take these pictures and stuff. So they came out with a Kodak camera, and people started making their own photos, and this is called a real photo postcard. The story behind the real postcard that it was made from a Kodak camera. So once someone took the picture, and with that, you could take the picture, open the camera up. On the negative, you had a stylus pen, and write 1925, the Drake oil well. And sometimes people wrote, here's our first blast, and took a picture of a fire. So once someone took the picture of something, it could be transformed onto a cardstock, which included the place to put the address, correspondence, and a place to put the stamp, and that was on the opposite side. So these captions were marked on a stretch into the negative. The real photo postcard started around the 20th century, and mostly went from the 20s to 30s. In Signal Hill, there were a lot of postcards showed pictures of people, of oil wells, fires, oil gushing out, or landscapes with oil derricks on them. So with the real photo postcards, there were some famous photographers of that day. Ansel Adams actually did one or two, from what I heard, and I'm trying to still do more research on which ones he did. Brookwell, Ertel, Winstead Brothers, and Inman. Inman will get more into the 1930s because Signal Hill, their councilman, hired him to do pictures for the city. So we'll dive into that next month. So the next postcard is the white border. So the white border postcards went from 1915 to 1930. It started around World War I, where American printers didn't have the same technology as the German printers because they had dominated the printing press for postcards. In retrospect, as this quality of the available postcards fell, people lost interest in collecting them. Soon printers began saving ink during this time, and they were printing to the edge of the card, and it left a white border around the image, which showed everything from here. And then they could still put who took the picture and what you're looking at. And the funny thing with postcards, so for every postcard that was made in the 20s and 30s, they would always put Long Beach Signal Hill. Now, so when people wrote on the postcards, I call that letters from the hill. So here are some of the things that you have to think about when you write postcards. So when you're writing to someone about the area you're visiting, you should describe a favorite day or a specified place that you saw with them with a few examples. So here we have these oil wells are on Signal Hill, just out of the city, And what these people, they were just amazed on what they saw. Second thing, tell the recipient that how much they are missed, or how much they were thought about on this trip. And third thing, describe the weather. In the postcard, one can write, it's been so hot here, or it's been very windy the past few days. Then one can say, the weather's been so nice, it makes me want to take a ride to the beach. Or say, the weather has been so clear, I can see the snow from the beach, looking at the mountains. And you can actually do that if you go on the pier and look behind you, you can actually see, if it's a very clear day, the mountains. One could also describe a very good restaurant or a very bad restaurant you ate at. Get into details about specific meals you ate. Give the person you're writing to a vivid image of your trip and allow them to take in your experience in a new way from what you wrote. And then finally, end the postcard with future plans of what you're going to do on your trip, or future plans when you're coming home. Make a short itinerary of the rest of your trip, or at least a loose structure so they know where you will be in the future. So, now, avoid common mistakes. So, don't write anything too personal. So when you're writing on a postcard, everyone can see it. So you should never write personal information like bank accounts, social security number, and then I could write home, dear family, my bank account number is 6512. You can take out $100, or my social security number is this. What's yours? Or don't share any intimate secrets. By the way, I'm having this long affair.
I like the billions of dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, billions of dollars.
When writing a postcard, never write across the center line in the address of the recipient.
Like that. Yeah, where's the address? With the billions of dollars.
So, when you have that, where the address is, just keep it short and simple and in the lines. When you're on vacation, don't mention, you can mention where you're staying at, but you don't have to put the address of where you're staying at. And finally, when writing a postcard, make sure to write neat and legibly so that people could read it. Especially if you're mailing out to something and it's all scribbled out. It's like, who are you writing to? So, that's all I have. I'll be open to any questions.
You know that one picture that showed that big flash?
Yes.
It was real bright. Is that the one where they could read the newspaper in Long Beach?
Yes.
Oh, it is? That was the one?
Testing, testing. Testing.